ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यभिमहायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनो भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। Verse 140. माया त्वमेव निश्चेयम् इचिते तर्हि निश्चिनो लोकप्रसिद्धमायायाः लक्षणं यत्तदीक्ष्यताम्. So Vidyaranya Swami pointed out in verse 139 that the very nature of this Maya is a Vismaya, wonder. And we mean that it has a nature which cannot be comprehended by intellect. So intellect wonders at some stage when it experiences something and it is not able to explain. So that's called wonder. And this wonder, so Maya has a two components. One is a wonder and second is a inexplicability. I mean non-categorization. So these two things combined together is a Maya. And so asking us to explain Maya is an improper request. That's what we are saying to other philosophers. And if we are not able to concede to your request, well, we say it is not our own inability or deficiency, but it is because the very nature of Maya is of a wonder. Means it cannot be explained, it cannot be categorized. And therefore, so we by nature, means its intrinsic nature is like that, and therefore, it is not a deficiency of our intellect that we are not able to categorize the Maya. If it is a deficiency of the intellect, well, then some other stronger intellect will be able to explain it, right? And but we challenge that no intellect can explain this, will be able to explain, because this non-categorization is the intrinsic nature of the Maya. So we go to the extent of even saying that even Bhagavan will have to give the same answer. If somebody asks regarding what is the cause of creation, the Bhagavan is a cause, still Bhagavan will say Maya, etc. And therefore, because from his standpoint there is no creation, so why should he say that I am a cause of the creation, right? And therefore, this is from Jiva's standpoint, because Jiva accepts creation, and therefore there must be a cause of creation, and therefore all this problem will start, purpose of creation and the duration of creation, and when the creation came into being, etc. All this problem will be from the Jiva standpoint. From Ishvara's standpoint, there is no creation. So if you ask Ishvara, well, what is the cause of this creation? He will say, he also will say the Maya. Well, because since means basically you ask to yourself whether the creation is there or not. That's our question to them. Anyway, I mean, therefore, if we or the Vedantin or even the Ishvara, well, if in a response to the questions of a philosopher's cause of creation, etc., well, if we say Maya, well, he should not ask further questions. He should understand that Maya is this Vismaya Rupam, Anirvachya Rupam, non-categorization, etc. is there. So it cannot be classified in a given category as mainly two, Sat and Asat. That's all. Sat and Asat. Then other questions will be answered later. But first decide whether it is existent or non-existent. So we cannot say it is, and we cannot say it is not. And therefore, it comes under Sadasat Vilakshanam. Sadasat Vilakshanam means is not available for classification, existent, non-existent, etc. When this much was said, then Purapakshi said, well, I am not able to conceive of such a unique category, Sadasat Vilakshanam category, distinct from existent, non-existent. I am not able to visualize because my intellect is like a pendulum. It only moves between two categories. Intellect has a one job. We say intellect is a, Nishchayatmika. Nishchaya means a categorization. Simple. Nishchaya, any Nishchaya, any decision means it's a categorization. And therefore, well, intellect is not able to categorize creation or a Maya, etc. And therefore, so I am not able to visualize because my intellect is, always it's a pendulum. And it only moves between the two categories. Either something is or something is not. And since the intellect functions in this pendulum kind of it has a pendulum kind of a nature. And therefore, well, even though, and therefore it won't answer yes or no. And so, therefore, the intellect is not able to basically conceive of a third category, Sat or Sadasat Vilakshanam. And the most unique category in Advaita is this Sadasat Vilakshanam. It is nowhere. No other philosophers has accepted this. No other philosopher. Sadasat Vilakshanam category nobody accepts. Even the great philosophers are not able to accept the possibility of this third category. And so Sankhya, Yoga and all these philosophers, we have seen part of their philosophy. We have just had a taste of all these philosophies. So this Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshika and Mimamsaka, all that Purva Mimamsaka, well, they accept Sat or some accept Asat. Basically, in Vedanta also, of course, Dvaita Vedanta and then Vishishta Advaitin. Well, basically, they also accept Sat or Asat. Only this Advaita Vedantin. Dvaita Vedantin and Vishishta Advaitin basically accept either Sat or Asat. We will not go into details right now. But Advaita Vedantin only have this category called Sadasat Vilakshanam. And so they want us to put everything, either in this category, either Sat or Asat. So they are giving as though two vessels, Sat vessel and Asat vessel. And we are asked to put everything in one of that. And what we find is that we are able to put this Brahman in a Sat category, in Sat vessel, let us say. And all other things, starting from, Akasha, Vayu and all this, Agni, Apaha, Prithvi, and all these trees and plants and human beings and viruses, all this, everything else we are not able to put in this Sat vessel or Asat vessel. We look for a third vessel and they don't give us. So anyway, then we are forced to invent or create a third vessel, Sadasat Vilakshanam vessel, and then unfortunately no other philosophy accepts this category, Sadasat Vilakshanam. It's astonishing that the word Maya is accepted by them because they are forced to. Because the word Maya is used in the Veda itself, in the Bhagavad Gita also. And therefore they cannot say the word Maya itself is not there. So word Maya is there, but then the status of Maya called Sadasat Vilakshanam, that kind of a category, well, they are not able to accept. Anyway, but where does it occur, the word Maya in the Veda? Well, we have seen already, very well in Shvetashvatara Upanishad. It's already there. Mayam tu prakritim vidyad, etc. Mayinam Maheshwaram. And in Brihadaranyaka also it is there. Indro Maya bihi puru rupahi iyate. Indra hai. Parmeshwara is called Indra in a Shastra. Indra means not the Indra Devata. This Idandraha Indraha. That's how they give a Vitpatti. Well, I will talk to you later. Indro Maya bihi. So Maya bihi. That is how they say. Indro Maya bihi. Puru rupaha iyate. Means puru rupaha bahu rupaha iyate. So well, basically this Paramatma through Maya assumes all these names and forms. So Brihadaranyaka also has used word Maya bihi. Now why Maya bihi it's a plural that is used there. Anyway, so the word Maya they accept and when in Bhagavad Gita, of course, very well. Mama Maya Duratyaya, Bhagavan said. It is very difficult. Duratyaya. To transgress this Maya, well, to cross over this Maya is very, my Maya, Mama Maya. So it's very, very difficult. Maya aparuta jnanaha, etc. etc. Bhagavan said Maya aparuta jnanaha. So two places word Maya is used by Bhagavan. In Veda also it is used in Shvetashvatar and Brihadaranyaka, and therefore all other philosophers have to accept the word Maya. But then we explain the word Maya as Sadasat Vilakshanam, that category they are not able to understand. So Maya is this creation, and they say, well, two things we can say, Brahman is Sat, and all these things either Asat or Sat. Why either Asat or Sat? I will talk to you today. So basically two vessels are there, existent, non-existent. There cannot be a third category called distinct from Sat and Asat, called seemingly existent, etc. Well, they are not able to understand that, even though they accept word Maya, but they interpret it in their own way. So our controversy with other philosophers is not regarding word Maya. They also accept, we also accept. But what is the category of Maya? They have a problem. And all others says, well, Maya comes under Sat principle only. Brahman is also Sat and Maya is also Sat. And therefore, creation, Maya is this creation. So Akasha is Sat and Vayu is Sat. And they will say, when you talk about this rabbit horn, so two things are Sat. Rabbit is Sat, horn is Sat. But then combining this together, unholy combination, right? Rabbit horn, square circle. So square circle. Well, square is also Sat and circle also is Sat. But square circle is Asat. So they have a Asat category. Two vessels are there, but then rabbit horn, square circle, etc. they put into this Asat vessel. And the Brahman also is Sat, and this Vayu is Sat, Akasha is Sat, all Mahabhutas are Sat, and the trees are Sat, all are real, and the Manushyas are also real, viruses are real, etc. Everything is real. So everything will come under Sat. Rabbit horn, etc. will come under Asat. So they will not accept a third category called Sat Asat Vilakshanam. And Dvaita, well, but definitely Maya is not Sat, you know very well, is not Sat principle. So then, well, immediately they will ask, so do you say it is Asat? If Maya is not Sat, then whether it is Asat? So we say, no, it is not Asat also. And then what it is? We say Sad Asat Vilakshanam. And therefore, well, he will ask a question that I am not able to intellectually grasp this possibility of this Sad Asat Vilakshanam, Anirvachaniyam, etc. So I will try my best to explain to you. Vidyaranya says like that. And then we say that entire prapancha, basically means Vidyaranya says this entire prapancha is Anirvachaniyam, it is Mithya, Brahman alone is Satyam. The world basically is Anirvachaniyam. And it has got its own utility, and therefore we call it as a real, because utility and reality goes together, and so therefore names and forms have some utility. So we will call it as a Vyavaharik Satyam. So basically some empirical reality we say, but that is it means it is Mithya or Anirvachaniyam, etc. So Vidyaranya says, if this Vyavaharik Satyam, otherwise called this Mithya, if you are not able to grasp that, we are saying to that Purupakshi, well, I will introduce a Pratibhasik Satyam, which also is Anirvachaniyam. So Pratibhasik Anirvachaniyam, I will try to, through Pratibhasik Anirvachaniyam, I will try to explain Vyavaharik Anirvachaniyam. And so one Anirvachaniyam is taken as an example for another Anirvachaniyam. Pratibhasik Satyam, or now it's a new word, Pratibhasik Satyam or Anirvachaniyam or lower Mithya. What is this? Don't worry, it is simple. But let me use these words. Pratibhasik Satyam or lower Mithya. And Vyavaharik Satyam or higher Mithya. Okay? So basically, superior Mithya we can say. So we are trying to explain this bigger unreal basically with the help of a smaller unreal. And so because you are not able to understand Anirvachaniyam or Sadasat Vilakshanam or Mithya, which the status we have given to Maya, then I have to give you an example of Anirvachaniyam only. Then you will be able to understand immediately. Then in the Vyavaharik Anirvachaniyam, that's our Vyavaharik reality, that is Maya, that is the whole creation. So then that is whole this Maya itself is the entire Vyavaharik Prapancha basically. And therefore, I will have to take an example of Anirvachaniyam from Pratibhasikam. Because through that I will have to explain you this Vyavaharika Satyam or Anirvachaniyam, etc. And so, definitely, that's a trend. That's a trend in Acharya. In Sampradaya, Acharyas take a Pratibhasika Satyam to make you understand it is Mithya, etc. or Anirvachaniyam, etc. And Gaudapada Acharya also, he also tried in that third chapter, Vaipatya Prakaranam, to explain this creation. Vyavaharik Prapancha is unreal. For that, he also takes an example of a Pratibhasika Satyam, Pratibhasika Nirvachaniyam, and or lower Mithya, that is Swapna, dream. And so through that, he explained this also is Mithya. Could you follow what I am saying? So, is higher Mithya, lower Mithya, etc. is nothing. Or you can say Pratibhasika Satyam and this Vyavaharika Satyam. Through Pratibhasika Satyam example, which is Anirvachaniyam, there also Sadasat Vilakshanam, etc. is there. Through that I will explain you this Vyavaharika Satyam, which is also Anirvachaniyam, which is Sadasat Vilakshanam, etc. Then you will be able to understand. And so, basically, I'm asking this question, now tell me this, the dream world will come under what? Let's take the example, that how it is Anirvachaniyam. Very simple to understand. Dream world is also whether it is existent or a non-existent category. You will never be able to put in either that. I am giving you two vessels. You will not be able to put dream into a Sat vessel, Sat category vessel or a Sat category vessel. Similarly, we have a mirage water, and Vidyaranya is taking an example of a magic. Anyway, that we will talk about. So, magic show, etc. All these are basically examples for Sadasat Vilakshanam, Pratibhasik, lower Mithya or Pratibhasik Satyam, but they are basically Anirvachaniyam only, Sadasat Vilakshanam only. Most famous example is a rope snake example, right? And it is a Pratibhasik Satyam. So, this Advaitin basically prove the rope snake, through rope snake example, he proves this, that it is also Sadasat Vilakshanam. He will prove that. First rope snake is Sadasat Vilakshanam or Pratibhasik Satyam or Anirvachaniyam, etc. Through that we can take we can prove basically Vyavaharik Prapancha also is like that. So this is a Advaitinya's approach. Through this rope snake example, he wants to talk about this Sadasat Vilakshanam category. And once the others understand this Sadasat Vilakshanam, then we will extend it to the waking state also. You can take a dream example, you can take even rope snake example, you can take mirage water example, you can take this magic show example which Vidyaranya is going to give. Any example, all Pratibhasika Satya. But still it is Sadasat Vilakshanam, it cannot be put into either Sat or Asat. So, first rope snake is proven as Sadasat Vilakshanam. Then rope is proven as Sadasat Vilakshanam. Clear now? Rope snake is proven Sadasat Vilakshanam. Then rope itself, which is Vyavaharika, is proven as a Sadasat Vilakshanam. So we say rope snake is Sadasat Vilakshanam, and then we go further and prove this rope becomes also Sadasat Vilakshanam. So possibility is there, because such a category I have already established through example of a rope snake. So that is how Vedanta brings in a rope snake example. But this rope snake example has not convinced. We may feel, oh, it's so great example. Don't think so. This rope snake example has not convinced other philosophers. They say rope snake is Satyam. And so we are giving this rope snake example to introduce Sadasat Vilakshana category, but even the example has not been, even that example has not enlightened them, basically the other philosophers. They say, who says that rope snake is Sadasat Vilakshana? It is Sat only. And what about the dream? He says, who says the dream is a Sadasat Vilakshana? Dream is Sat only. Who says the shell silver is a Sadasat Vilakshana? It is Satyam only, it is Sat only. And what about this mirage water? He says that mirage water also, who says? You are saying Sadasat Vilakshana, Pratibhasik Satyam, Anirvachaniyam, lower Mithya? No, it is also basically Satyam. Therefore, this example has not worked for them. I will tell you why they call Satyam. That there is a reason for that. Okay, so we are coming to that. So Vidyaranya is trying to basically convince us. He convinces us because they are not convinced. So he turned his face towards us, and then he is trying to convince us by showing that this rope snake or mirage water, shell silver, dream, etc., or even magic show, etc., they are all Sadasat Vilakshana. They are the examples of a Pratibhasik Satyam, examples of a Anirvachaniyam, they are examples of a lower Mithya, they are examples of a Anirvachaniyam, etc., Means cannot be put into category, specific category. Mirage water is Sat or Asat. Try to think. Dream is Sat or Asat. And rope snake is Sat or Asat. You will not be able to put in any vessel. You will ask for a third vessel to me. Okay? And therefore, then once you understand the example, then we'll come to the waking world, and then of course, so we can say here also it is like this. Anyway, so let's see this, the words of this verse 140. Mayatvam eva, the very definition of or nature of Maya, Sadasat Vilakshanatvam, etc., eva, very unique category, is a very unique category by itself. Nishchayam, so this Purvapakshi is telling Mayatvam eva Nishchayam. So very definition of or nature of Maya, which you call as a Sadasat Vilakshanam, you are saying it's a unique category, third category, etc. It has, Nishchayam has to be convincing to me, but I am not convinced. I know only two categories. My intellect is a pendulum. Either he brands something as existent or something as a non-existent. I can't find a third category. I can't basically think of a third category which is distinct from Sat and Asat. So Mayatvam eva Nishchayam, that's a Purvapakshi statement. So we have definition of the Maya or the nature of very Maya, Sadasat Vilakshanatvam, Nishchayam has to be convincing to me, but I am not convinced. Iti chet, then we are saying, if you are not convinced, iti chet means if you are not convinced, tarhi Nishchayanu, then I will give you an example. And Pratibhasik Satya example, well, because in Vedanta, every Pratibhasik Vastu is Sadasat Vilakshanam. And so Nishchinu means may you convince yourself through this example. Regarding this Vyavaharik Prapancha, you are not able to get convinced. Regarding the creation, you are not able to understand as a Sadasat Vilakshanam. No problem. I am giving you an example of a Pratibhasik Satyam. Withdraw yourself from this Vyavaharik Prapancha, which you are not able to understand as a Nirvachanim or a Sadasat Vilakshanam. Let's take an example of a Pratibhasik Satyam, which is basically you will be able to appreciate as a Sadasat Vilakshanam. So Nishchinu means may you convince yourself through example. Which example I am going to give? So Pratibhasik example, several examples are there. Any number of examples we can give. Vidyaranya, I have told you, Vidyaranya takes an example of a magic show. So he says, Loka Prasiddha Mayayam. So the word Maya is used by the worldly people, Loka Prasiddha. So this word Maya is used by the worldly people in the sense of a magic. And therefore he gives an adjective, Loka Prasiddha Maya. So Loka Prasiddha, there are two Mayas. So other Maya is a Shastra Prasiddha Maya, right? So Shastra Prasiddha Maya. One is a Loka Prasiddha Maya. And our Shastra Prasiddha Maya is a Vedantic Maya. Okay, Trigunatmika Maya. And so here Loka Prasiddha Maya is this magic show. So that itself let us analyze and see whether it will come under, that magic will come under Sat or Asat category. Then you will understand that if Loka Prasiddha Maya is Sadasat Vilakshanam, then this Shastra Prasiddha Maya also can be Sadasat Vilakshanam. So whatever it may be, it's Lakshanam. But may you focus on that, may you focus on this example of this magic. And when you focus, you will find that it will not come under either Sat or Asat. Now Vidyaranya himself focuses on that in the coming verse 141. Na nirupayutum shakyah vispashtam bhasate chaya samayeti indrajaladau lokas sampratipedire. So when you focus on any Pratibhasika Satyam, Well, I'm using this word Pratibhasik Satyam because it's very familiar to you. Pratibhasik Satyam is an really unreal projection actually of a mind. Any false projection is a Pratibhasik Satyam. Any false experience, well, we call it as a Pratibhasikam. Pratibhasikam, it is a subjective basically. It's a subjective hallucination like thing. Even in hallucinations, in a certain type of a mental problems, including the schizophrenia, etc. Well, you have a visual hallucination, on or sometime people have got a audio hallucination also. So what is this audio hallucination? It's very interesting. They will feel that somebody is talking to them, and even though we don't see anybody around them, but they are paying attention to to the person who is talking. There is no one is talking, but he feel that somebody is talking to him or her, whatever. So basically they are able to hear clearly. We don't find anybody around the person to talk to them basically. So this is a subjective hallucination. It's a schizophrenia actually. Anyway, and so now this particular thing is Sat or Asat. Is Sat or Asat. You cannot say it is Sat because it is nobody's talking to them. We know very well. Even suppose some people are there. Let's say some people are there around, and their mouths are shut. Still, that person feels that the so and so person is talking to him. That's also, and therefore we cannot call it Sat. And therefore, logically, if it is not, if you can't call it as a Sat, that it is really there, then we should where should you fit into? It should fit into a Sat. Then can you call this as a Sat? We cannot call it a Sat because if it is a Sat, then it cannot disturb the mind of that the patient who has this schizophrenia, etc. Because non-existent thing cannot disturb the person, and therefore, from the standpoint of that person, we can never tell that thing is a Asat also. This subjective hallucination, audio hallucination, etc. We cannot call it Asat because he's disturbed with that, and he's hearing clearly. And if we say what the other person talk to you, talks to you, and he says also that this thing, and so anyway, so it is not Asat. It is not totally non-existent, and from our standpoint, it is non-existent also. So we cannot call Sat also. So anyway, in fact, there are some people, who say that all these religious people, basically they hear all the time from the God. So they are also schizophrenic. It's not so. But the people who don't believe in religion, etc., they say like that. This religious people, what happens is sometimes that person talks in the air. And when we enter into the room, we find the person is talking. Or sometimes person, sits in front of in a temple. They have a temple, in a home, etc. And then there's some Krishna, etc. That idol, etc. is there, and they talk. Most of the bhaktas talk really. Then the person who does not believe in all this, say he's a schizophrenic because it's a visual schizophrenic. Anyway, something is there, but it's an idol. You cannot talk to it. That it's an inert thing, and therefore, since he is talking, he is visualizing something. A conscious entity and talking. But the person who does not believe in this kind of a thing, does not believe Ishvara, etc., these religious people are schizophrenic. Even they go to the extent of saying in Puranas, Purana, there are some samvadas there. Nobody is there. And the person talks. So, person talks. And then the statement will be from that statement will be there. But no person will be, as quoted as such. And therefore, then this person talks to that person, and that person talks to this person. And you don't find any person's name, nothing. So they say all these Puranic stories, etc., also is a hallucination. They are all schizophrenic people, etc. It is an insult to them. Actually, it is not like that. We call them great Mahatmas, and that God talks to them, and they talk to the God, etc. But basically, the psychologists call them as the traitors, etc. So audio hallucinations are all the time there, and visual hallucinations are also there. So wherein they clearly see some, I mean, some dead forefather, his forefathers, etc., coming and talking and all, they are very clear. They are very, very clear. I saw in front, when we say nobody is there, the person has gone, and subtle body cannot talk and all that. No, no, no. I saw in front, and he came, and after 4 days of his death, and came to me and talked to me. And so, well, what category will put? What category will put? It's a pratibhasik satyam. It's a hallucination. It's basically it's a subjective thing. Pratibhasikam. Well, in which category will put? Is it really existent? That the person has come and talked to you will also accept it? No, you won't accept. Then you should say it is non-existent. But then the person is talking. For hours he talks. And sometimes he cries also. And tells that, well, you have gone and I am feeling lonely here and etc. etc. He or she may talk. So there is an experience also. Subjective experience, please understand. It's a subjective experience, which is called pratibhasika satyam. And it is a false projection, everything, let we say. But you cannot totally dismiss it as a non-existent. The person is experiences. From your standpoint, it is non-existent. From person's standpoint, it is existent. And so it is sadasat vilakshan. Anyway, so these are examples. So many examples, number of examples are there. How many examples we can give? All full of. For pratibhasik satyam, lower mithya, nirvachiniyam, etc., we have several examples, not mirage water or magic so many examples are there. So basically, we cannot call it sat, we cannot call it asat, because you cannot call it sat, because if it is sat, then all of us also should see that forefather, whoever may be, the person who is dead now, all of us should be able to see through our sense organs, but we are not able to see. If we are able to see, all of us, then it is sat. But if we are not able to see and that particular person only is able to see, then it is all merely a subjective thing. And therefore, that's why I cannot say it is asat also, because the person clearly view that and they are happy, unhappy, etc. after meeting and talking to that person, etc. Which means a non-existent thing cannot produce such an effect of a happiness or unhappiness. And therefore, all these voices and visions, etc., which I talked about, well, will come under sadasat vilakshanam. Similarly, rope snake, similarly dream. So when we are in dream, let us say, it's so solidly real, and capable of raising even waker's emotions, basically. Waker's blood pressure increases. He sees something in the dream, and waker's blood, when he wakes up, and by screaming, he finds that the blood pressure has increased. So the effect of a dream, reality of dream is so much that the effect continues even in the waking state. So powerful. But on waking, well, you don't find that particular thing because of which you have become so afraid and screamed, etc. That thing you won't find there at all. So, and therefore Vedanta says that's our common, a phrase, common sentence. Satchet na badhyeta, asatchet na pratiyeta. Satchet na badhyeta. If it is sat, it cannot be negated. If it is asat, it cannot be experienced. Right? But it is experienced also and it is negated also. You negate, the person experiences. And therefore it is not sat, it is not asat. If it is not sat, it is asat vilakshanam. If it is not asat, it is sat vilakshanam. And therefore sadasat vilakshanam. Could you follow what I am saying? So if it is not sat, means it is sat vilakshanam. If it is not asat, means it is asat vilakshanam. And therefore, well, you have to combine. This is a rational approach. Rational approach means you don't dismiss anybody, anything, and still you are able to explain. It's a unique way of explaining, and this is a third category, Sat Vilakshan. So an existent thing cannot be negated, non-existent thing cannot be experienced, and Sapna is experienced, therefore it cannot come under a non-existent category because itself is an experience. And if it is experience and therefore it cannot be negated, then it is, let us take it as a sat. No, because on waking we negate it also totally. And therefore, Sapna cannot come under an existent thing Also. Sapna cannot come under a non-existent thing also, because it is experience. And therefore, Sapna is a Sad-Asat Vilakshan. All the things, thousands of examples are there. Thousands. And still this fellow is not able to understand Sad-Asat Vilakshana category anyway. So Sapna is experience and it is negated also. So it will not come under either of these categories, Sat or Asat. So okay, and therefore we are saying, well, why don't you accept this category? So, well, he says, ya vispashtam bhasate. So Vidyaranya says, ya vispashtam bhasate. See, he is defining Maya. Ya vispashtam bhasate means which is clearly experienced. That which is clearly experienced, like dream, visual hallucination, audio hallucination, etc., which is clearly experienced by the relevant person. And na nirupayitum shakya. You have to combine both. Sa Maya. Na nirupayitum shakya. So that which is clearly experienced, vispashtam bhasate, but na nirupayitum shakya, that which you cannot prove as really existent. That is called Maya. Keep this thing definition in mind. Learning of Pancadasi should be, certain definition should be on our, on our tips. Okay. And this Maya's definition we have already seen before also, etc. And this is one more definition you can add into that. Ya vispashtam bhasate, ya na nirupayitum shakya, sa Maya. So ya vispashtam bhasate, that which is clearly experienced, but that which cannot be proven as really existent is Maya. So if you say whatever is experience is real, you will have to say the dream is also real. So Vishishta Advaitin take this. For Vishishta Advaitin, everything is real. What is his criteria for the reality is this: whatever is experienced clearly is real. That's what he says. So basically, what we say regarding Maya is this. Regarding creation, let us say, is this: that which is clearly experienced, but which cannot be proven as really existent is Maya. What he says is, what is clearly experienced is real. Could you follow what I am saying? What is clearly experienced is real. Anyway, so they are forced to conclude Sapna is clearly experienced, so is real. Mirage water is clearly experienced, is real. Hallucination is clearly experienced by the person, relevant person, so is real. And everything becomes real. And Brahman also is real. That is what they say, Vishtadvaitin. Brahman means Narayana. Well, Narayana is also real. And Jagat also is real. Everything is real. Then what is the relationship of Jagat and Brahman? That they will call it as Avayavi Sambandha, Amshamshi Sambandha. The whole Jagat and Jiva, all are Amsha of this Narayana called Brahman. And so both are real, right? Part is also real and whole also is real. So Pennsylvania is real and United States also is real, right? Pennsylvania is a part and United States is a whole country. Both are real. You Vedantins say, well, this Jiva is Mithya and Brahman is Satyam. But you don't know the relationship between Jiva and Brahman. The relationship between Jiva and Brahman is not this Satyamithya. What Satyamithya? Both are actually one entity alone. But because of ignorance, they appear as though two. Jiva is due to ignorance, and it's really in the reality of that Jiva is Brahman. Jivatvam is Mithya. So Jiva is basically Mithya. And its nature is Brahman, etc. No. It's not true. So Jiva is also Satyam, Jagat also is Satyam, and Narayana, Brahman also is Satyam. And then everybody is Satyam, then they will have a real relationship, right? A real relationship. And real relationship is of Amshamshi Sambandha. Part whole. Beautiful. Very nice. Very nice. I am a Amsha. I am a Dasa. Amsha means a Dasa. He is a whole. He is a whole. I am Amsha. So dasasya. Swamiji, enough. Dasaha. So dasasya. So this is how it is. Anyway. So that is how, We write Soham. Saha, Jagat Karanam Ishvara is Aham. So they add Da in front of that. So Dasoham. Huh. So then we are also clever. Yeah. So he writes Da in front of that. Then we also go to the board and we write only Sa before that. Sada Soham. Sada. I am always non-separate from Lord. I am Lord. Then he goes and he writes Da. Dasa Dasoham. Then we write again Sa. He is going on since, Anadikala. So he writes Da, we write Sa. He writes Da, we write Sa. This goes on and on. In fact, that's a really wonderful attitude, Dasoham. It's excellent attitude. No problem at all. As a Ahankara, which is a reality. Why we call reality? Because you experience. Because there is a utility. See what a practical approach we have. Any name and form has an utility, and if I tell you it is not there, how are you going to accept me? Since you say there is a utility of the creation, well, we say it is a reality. We say it is a reality. Okay, then it is real or no? There is a reality of a reality. So there is a reality of a reality on which these names and forms stand. And the utility, etc., is there also because of that reality, the final reality, let's say that way. And so since it has a utility, since you experience, we call it as a reality. Some people used to object. Why do you call reality? If Brahman is a reality, and then you say that is a Paramarthik Satyam and this is Vyavaharika Satyam, you should not say, yeah, I'm ready to withdraw that word. Withdraw the word reality. But then you say, well, this particular name and form has a utility. And anything which has a utility is Satyam. That's what your orientation is. Anything which is which has a certain purpose, and if I tell you it is non-existent, how are you going to accept it? You cannot accept. And you are experiencing also. Not only just utility, you are experiencing. And you have the whole language for that. So all the words, so many words. And day in and out, while you transact with this so-called names and forms, and having entered into identified with a particular name and form, you basically do this, a transaction also. And therefore, well, I will call it as a reality, but it's empirical. It's a transactional reality, conventional reality, basically. We'll talk about it later also. So basically, Vishishtadvaitin has this thing. Whatever is experienced, basically, clearly is real. And therefore, even that, shell silver is real. Shell silver is real. And rope snake is real. Clearly experienced by the person. That's how he has become so frightened. He has a fear, lot of fear. He has perspiration, etc. So he is clearly experiencing. Therefore, it is real. So Vedantin argues against that is, well, if you are giving all of them the same status as real, etc., dream is also real, waking is also real, Brahman is also real, then our question is this. See, we see a single line argument against these people. That then, if everything has the same status, because Brahman is a real, and the waking state is real, dream is real, everything is real, then basically Veda should either negate all of them, or, well, Veda should not negate all of them. But all the three basically are equally real, means waking state, dream state, Brahman, all these are equally real. Then all of them, this Veda should treat them equally, and either it should, definitely negate all of them, or it should not negate all of them. But what Upanishad does is what? It negates everything other than Brahman. Why? We are asking them. Why it negates few things? And why it doesn't negate all? If all are real, there is no question of negating. There is no question of negating. Real means what? You cannot negate. Then why certain things are negated and why Brahman is not negated? Vedanta negates every blessed thing except Brahman. That means it should never be given the same status. All this creation, all you say everything, dream and everything, waking and all, should not be given the same status on par with Brahman. You have to say Brahman is unnegatively real, and these are negatively real. Okay? Because you are saying real, real, real. Okay. So add one thing in front of that. Negatively real and unnegatively real. Okay? Be happy. So we say negatively real means we know it's unreal. I give you, this is a little dignified word. If I say unreal, it's an insult, and therefore this is like an undeveloped country. This India is a undeveloped country, undeveloped. This is not fair. We have such a great civilization and all that, and we are great country, and you are saying underdeveloped and undeveloped and what that we know. Okay, we will give you a dignified word. What? Developing country. Okay, fine. So be happy. So this is how it is. Developing country. So you feel little dignified. You will not feel rejected. So this is how it is. So same way, he says everything is real. Okay, negatively real. And Brahman is unnegatively real. Okay? Because since the Upanishad negates so-called your real world, so we say negatively real. Whereas Brahman is also real, but it is not negated in the Upanishad. So we say unnegatively real. Okay? Be happy. So basically, but in our understanding, we know, like in understanding of this all countries, in the United Nations or wherever, they know developing country means it is underdeveloped basically, and therefore in their heart they know clearly, but they don't say. Same way here also, we know it is unreal only, but for the sake of satisfying them, we say like this. And so we say negatively real alone we call unreal, mithya. And let us not fight over the language. Vedanta never treats Brahman and the world on par. If you accept Vedanta Pramanam, you should know Vedanta never treats Brahman and the world on par. Therefore, there is a difference, and that difference is called Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, etc. So we say Sa Maya. So that is called Maya. This negatively real is called Maya. Negatively real or unreal is called Maya, which is Mithya anyway. So because the word Maya, Mithya, etc. raised blood pressure in you. So just to pacify you, we have invented a new word, and so we call negatively real, etc. And so or else we can say Vyavarika Satyam, right? Negatively real. Even Pratibhasika Satyam is also negatively real. Everything. Vyavarik Satyam is real in a Jagrata Avastha, Pratibhasik Satyam is real in a Sapnavastha. So both basically we call real because they are negated, definitely. So Vyavarika Satyam is non-existent in Sapnavastha and Pratibhasik Satyam is non-existent in Jagrata Avastha. Each one is real in its own place. And that's how we sometimes call relative reality also. Relative reality and conditional reality, temporary reality, all these things are, we say. So Sadasat Vilakshana means relative reality, conditional reality, temporary reality. Like saying, you are beautiful when you have ornaments. That person does not understand. He thinks that the other person is basically giving compliments, but he has not understood. When I say you are beautiful when you wear ornaments or you have ornaments on your body. So anyway, could you follow what I'm saying? It's a conditional beauty, and therefore, anyway, so Samaya iti Indrajalado, in the case of this magic, Lokaha Sampratipedire. Loka means this common people have accepted the word Maya with the regard to this Indrajalam, with the regard to this magic. And so if world accept the word Maya with regard to this Sadasat Vilakshanam magic, then why can't I use the very same word Maya with regard to this non-categorizable world? which is a magic show conducted by Ishvara. That magic show is conducted by a magician, this conducted by, and magic also is like that, you know very well. Magic is sadasat vilakshanam. You cannot say it is not there at all, because you are experiencing. And I will talk to you about this also now. So, and even in Dakshinamurti Stotram also, it has been very clearly told, this Ishvara is a magician only. Maya viva vijrumbhayati, etc., etc. Or Mahayogi iva swechchaya, etc. And therefore, this Mayavi, which is Dakshinamurti, is also like a magician. He has this magic show, cosmic magic show, and local magicians have a pratibhasik magic show, we should say. And this cosmic magic show is a Vyavaharika magic show. So, lokaha sampradipedire, lokaha means a common people, sampradipedire means they have accepted. They have a concurrence, consensus, there is no dispute. For what? For using word Maya, for sadasad vilakshanam. And so, we are also saying here, when we use word Maya, we are saying you sadasad vilakshanam, and you are wondering, what is this? You are using the sadasat vilakshanam. We don't understand the third category. When I talk about the magic, and there the same word Maya also is used, and there you are able to understand sadasat vilakshanam easily. Therefore, the same thing is here. And therefore, sampratipedire means they have accepted, the common people have accepted, so far as magic is concerned, they have accepted Maya as a sadasat vilakshanam. Same way it is here also. Anyway, let's go to verse 142. स्पष्टं भाति जगच्चेदम् अशक्यं तन्निरूपणं मायामयं जगत् तस्माद् ईक्षस्वापक्षपाततः. Vidyaranya says this rule of the word Maya is extendable to this world also, and the word Maya, which is applicable to a magic show, is extendable to this world also, because the world also fulfills all the conditions of a magic show. So you watch from a distance, right, a magic show, then it is enjoyable. You go to magician and ask for the details, it goes away. And therefore, same way here, idam jagat spashtam bhati, this universe also is so tangible, and you ask any physicist, he will say, there is no world at all, there is no wall at all. Let's say talk about world. Why should we talk about world? Let's talk about wall instead of world. This wall. There is no wall at all. Physicists say that, and then we will raise our eyebrows. We don't question, because he is a scientist. We question a Swami. Immediately we question a Swami. We question Shastra. That is something amazing. We always question Shastra, Swami. We never question a scientist. Somehow we are overwhelmed by this all scientists, thinking that they are all like Ishvara, Sarvagnyas, etc. They always talk something reasonable, and always they talk truth, etc., etc. Anyway, so when he says there is no wall, you definitely raise eyebrow. Then he will say it is nothing but the molecule. He explains. He is very compassionate. He comes down to our level, and he explains very, very nicely. Like our teachers, very compassionate, and then explains you how the world is mithya, etc., and how Brahman is Satyam, which is Adhishtanam, etc. Same way here. So he says this wall is nothing but the molecules. What are molecules? Then atoms. And you will say then, the atoms, and again he says energy, etc. And energy is a non-tangible entity. And the wall is ultimately energy. And therefore it's a non-tangible entity. And when it is in motion, how it becomes tangible, we cannot explain. Right? But this is how it is. And if you study atom-wise, forget about this, suppose energy, etc. Then atom has got basically this nucleus, and and then neutron, proton, and all these things. And all we have learnt is, in our school, right? And they say also that there is a 95% of space. There are particles, some subatomic particles are there. But still, in a given atom, 95% space is there. And then there are all atoms together, then the molecules, and molecules together, definitely, ultimately, this concrete wall. But that concrete wall has a 95% space. If it has a 95% space, if this is a 100% space, I am able to walk in and through in the space, then this also is a 95% space. At least I can walk, through it. There should not be any difficulty. But you are not able to walk. You are not able to walk through the wall, right? So this is how it is. They say 95% space is there in any given atom. But this is how it is. So basically, even though it is a logically we may say that 95% empty space is there, but we are not able to walk through. And so basically the world is not, it's not tangible. That's physicists prove it. Same way we also say, well, more you try to prove, the world actually disappears. Scientifically I'm talking. And we don't need Shastra at all. Scientifically you prove the world disappears in thin air, because it's like this. And just as the air, disappears in a thinner space, etc. Same way. So, idam jagat spashtam bhati tan nirupanam ashakyam. So, basically, idam jagat spashtam bhati. And so, this world is very clearly experienced as a very solid, tangible world. But tan nirupanam ashakyam. But it proves when we try to prove it and puts into a certain category as a sat or asat, we are not able to do that. So tan nirupanam means it's a sadasat classification. Nirupanam means sadasat classification. Tan nirupanam, jagat nirupanam, ashakyam. So we are not able to classify the world as even though it appears to you as a very, very tangible entity, but still you are not able to prove it as existent or non-existent, etc. And that's how it is very, very similar to a magic show. That one particular in that show, one particular item I really remembered is so all Vedantins should see the magic show. One particular item I remembered is the magician's wife was also there on the stage, and then she just lie down on that table, and then this person literally cut her body into two parts, but there was no blood. Let me add that there was not a drop of blood there. That's amazing. So he cut into two parts, and one part he took on the one part of the table, and the other part he took it on the other part of the table. And in between he walked also. He just went on the he raised himself on that top of the table, and then he walked in to show that there are really two parts of this. And then like that Jarasandha, then he joined also the two parts. That is something amazing. I still not able to understand how he is able to do that. And then she got up from the table. Anyway, so this is a wonder. This is a wonder. And so, and since you have experience, you cannot say it is not there. But you know very well, such a thing is non-existent, right? Such a thing is non-existent. And bloodless cutting is impossible. And after cutting, you are able to join, and she again become a live entity, etc. Well, it's all impossible. So this is how it is. So basically, sadasat vilakshanam. It is since you are experiencing, it is not asat, and such a thing is not possible. It is a wonder. It is not sat also. So idam tan nirupanam ashakyam, its definition is ashakyam, impossible. Tasmat jagat mayamayam. Therefore, this world, whole universe comes under mayamayam, means mayavi is maikam, means anirvachaniyam, etc. Mithya, sadasat vilokshanam, etc. etc. you can say. Or it's not available for any given specific category also. And it is regarding magic show. Same way here, by applying the same definition, because there also word Maya is used, here also word Maya is used, and we have a same idea behind, we have the same concept rather behind the word Maya. And here also, definitely we are experiencing the world, and therefore it will not come under a Satvastu. And on waking, waking means here different kind of waking. When you gain knowledge, etc., the world no more remains. You see yourself everywhere, or you see Brahman everywhere, either way you say. With the help of Shastra Pramana, definitely. And then it is not Sat also. So it's experience, therefore not a Sat. It can be negated on waking. Waking means gaining knowledge, and therefore it is not Sat also. And therefore, not asat, not sat. Sadasat vilakshanam. So this is how Shastra definitely keeps on negating. Yatra nanyat shrunoti, nanyat pashyati, nanyat vijanati, sabhuma, etc. Anyway, so where you are not seeing other than you, where you are not seeing other than you, where you are not seeing where you are not listening other than you, etc., etc. So anyway, so this is how it has been explained here with the help of an example of a magic show, which is nothing but a pratibhasik satyam, which is also sadasat vilakshanam, and therefore the vyavaharik prapancha also is basically maya only, and there also it is sadasat vilakshanam. Magic also, well, of a magician is also maya. This also is a maya of a greater magician called Ishvara. So ikshasva, well, may you clearly appreciate this, means Shastra negates, and that is not a casual statement. Every Upanishad seriously teaches this. Na bhumi rapo, na cha vanni rasti, means the world is negated. Neha nanasti kinchana, neti neti iti atma, etc. Neti neti also negates the world. Anyway. And therefore, well, definitely Shastra negates it, and therefore it cannot be Sat. So Ikshasa, may you clearly appreciate this. Apakshapatataha, without any prejudice. If you are already prejudiced, well, we cannot, nobody can help, because you have drawn a conclusion before, itself, and you study Veda not for knowing actually what Veda teaches, but you study Veda to find justification, support for your conclusion. So apakshapatataha, don't keep any judgments in your head regarding world, regarding Maya, etc. And then study, then you will find Shastra negates it. And therefore, well, it is Asat. Or it is not Sat. But you experience also, and therefore it is not Asat also. And therefore, say it is Sadasat Vilakshanam. So Veda negates everything, basically except Brahman. And therefore, Pakshapata means a prejudice, or, partiality, etc. Apakshapatata means impartiality. So without prejudice, without partiality, if you look into this, then you will understand this word Maya. That what we mean by word Maya, you will not have any questions. Ikshasva means may you appreciate what we are saying through example of a magic show, or a rope, snake, all that. Well, we are trying to make you understand the concept of, the status of a Maya, which is Sadasat Vilakshanam. So we'll keep up to this, and the next verse we'll see tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.